episode of Food Chain, we'll be looking at aquaculture. Ghana's aquaculture contributes about 3 to 5% to the gross domestic product. We are here at a fish farm in Akuse, and then where he produces both tilapia and catfish. Come with me to experience my first time on the canoe. Enoktete, welcome to Food Chain.
Thank you, madam.
How long have you been into fish farming?
I've been in this system for 5 years, entering into my 6th year.
Why did you decide to do fish farming?
At first I was into poultry, that's egg production.
Okay.
And I wanted to see the profit margin between the two. So I checked, and then I see that the profit margin is almost the same. So I decided to come into fish farming. And then the fish farming is easier to sell your product.
How much capital did you require to start this?
For the beginning, I used 3,700 Ghana cedis to raise 1,000 fishes. That is at a place called Hatchery. That is where I test the waters, how the business it is.
Okay. Would you say it's lucrative ever since you started this?
Yes, the business is lucrative because as I started with the 3,000 Ghana cedis, at the end of 5th month, I harvested at the end of 5th month. At the end of 5th month, and then 5th month, I have about 50% of what I did. Because I didn't feed accordingly to what the fish need to take while I was trying. So after getting my 50%, and I got to know that the business is good.
So you don't regret moving into fish farming?
No, not at all.
So I understand that for one to be a successful fish farmer, you have to produce about 300 tons a year. How many tons do you produce here? For
now, I'm doing just 36 tons a year because I don't take capital any loan from anybody. Whatever I do is what I still invest. So mine is 36 tons because I'm thinking of getting to the tonnage people are talking about.
Why do you solely rely on your capital? Why don't you go to the banks, or have you tried it and then it has been failing out something?
Yeah. Because of this fish farming, anything happens, it's on the lake, and then the water changes sometimes. When the water changes, we sometimes have mortality.
Okay.
And the mortality is high. So when you take loan from a bank, and maybe a disaster comes, they open the dams and maybe your cages move and everything breaks down, it's going to be a cost for you. And as now, the mortality on the lake now is very high to this business.
What do you mean by when the water changes? I don't understand. Please.
When it rains, like this rainy season, when it rains, open gutters are linked to the lake. So different kind of things will enter into the water, and then the phase of the water will change. Unlike what you are looking right now, this is good. Okay, when the water is good, you look at it like as black. Okay. Yes, but when death comes in, it changes to brownish, sometimes grayish. Okay, and when it happens like that, the oxygen becomes low. It's like the water becomes muddy. So the oxygen becomes low for the fishes, and then a lot of them die.
So talk of fish diseases. In 2017, there was the fish kill. Did it affect you?
Yes.
How bad was
it? It's very bad because during that time, I think my fishes were ready for harvest. Okay, and I make an arrangement with a buyer who needs to come, like let's say a week before the disaster came. So you can imagine whatever we spent from the beginning up to the 6th month. You wanted to harvest in that disaster scene. So a lot of money has gone as well, like tonnage has gone as well. If they were to be at the tender age, I wouldn't have felt the pain like as they are the table size fish.
I see. So I think the climate here is a bit different. I'm interested. I'm curious to find out, does the climate affect fish farming?
For me, what I've studied is not all the time. It doesn't affect. Not all the time. It doesn't affect at all. Because when, let's say, we have about 30 degrees Celsius, sometimes 25 degrees Celsius, we on the lake, we indigenous guys, we don't have machineries to be checking whatever goes on in the lake, but we use our intelligence to check. So whenever climate change, we know how to go about feeding. As I said, now I'm talking this morning. We've not fed in the morning. We've not fed in the morning because the weather was too dull, and then we saw that the oxygen was not all that good. If you watch the surface of the water, the rubber in the water, the speed of the water is low. So it means the oxygen is low. So we studied that, and you know, if you feed them too much, you are going to have a lot of mortality.
So explain to us, if the weather determines when you feed the fishes?
Sometimes the weather determines when you feed the fish. Example, like when it rains, after the rains, when you give them feed, they eat more. And if you don't know, you'll be thinking, okay, they eat more. So after the rain, they eat more. So let me give them more, they'll grow more. But after the rain, when you decide to give them more because they eat more, the next morning, you have a lot of mortality. It's like when it happens like that, when it rains, under the water, it's very hot. So they feel like they should come up and then feel moisture, a weather that is moisture. So they come up, so all of them come. So you would think like, okay, the fishes, they are active. So I wanted to give them more. So when you do that, you have a lot of mortality. So
what's your feed composition rate?
Let me just break it through for you. For fingerlings, when they are let's say 0.5 grams, 0.5, you normally have to feed them 4 times. Okay, but here we do 5 times. Why do we do 3 times? Sorry, why do we do 3 times? Because of the higher rate of mortality as of now. So we don't want to feed them 5 times for them to grow faster. When you feed them 5 times for them to grow faster, a lot of fat. They will form a lot of fat at a tender age, and it will not help them. They will die. So we feed 3 times.
Why is there higher mortality rate at this time?
For the higher rate of mortality, I can't talk much about it. I can't even tell the real problem with it because we had some meetings with the World Fish Organization some time ago, a couple of months ago. People came from Egypt. They were talking about it's a lake virus, but as of now, no one is able to tell us this is a lake virus because in 2017, when the outbreak came, Ministry of Fisheries came. We went to the Fujian farm, and I took them there. We took some samples. They said they're selling it to South Africa to do a test and see whatever it is. After now, we don't know what it is. So I will not say it's lake virus. I don't know what is happening. The only thing I see is maybe sometimes when the fishes are about 3 grams to 5 grams, you're seeing them forming some pot belly. When the pot belly comes, you see they will die. That is where the death comes from. But as of now, nothing like pot belly, they just die like that. So we don't know exactly what is happening. But we do our normal helps. We have some remedies that we do here that helps to control a little.
What remedies? I hear you say herbs.
Yeah.
I didn't know fishes take herbs.
Yeah. You know, we compared this virus thing to what is happening to humans now as coronavirus. We compared it to boost the immune system, okay? And you know, in Africa, Ghana especially, indigenous way, herbs, we have most herbs that we take and then boost. As example, like malaria, you need a neem tree to do that. Neem tree and other things to do that. So here, purposely, I use neem tree leaves. Okay. Yes, I mash it, add salt. I like the salt content a little bit higher than the neem tree. Then you have the nice taste. You mix it with the feed anytime you feed. And we did that. I did that. That is from last year, August. And I saw changes in it. It's helping me because when you do that like this, you have 1 mortality. When you start applying the herbs to it, it controls it. You know, if there's something like maybe the water is dirty, there's something like some microorganisms, germs. You know, salt can cure some. So it's helping. That is what I use. It's helping.
How did you figure out this remedy?
I use my own intelligence.
That's very interesting, Mr. Tete. Now I'm interested about how things are done here. Can we see the fingerlings and the stages and then the different stages that the fishes go through?
All right.
you're wondering where this is, you're still in Akuse, and this is Mr. Tete's catfish hatchery site. Come with us and let's see how catfish is hatched.
They need to stay for about 1.5 years to get a matured egg from them, and then a matured sperm from the male. Because if they are not matured 1.5 years to 2 years, you hatch all right, but the babies, the fries will not be stronger. For the next day, they will die. So you need to get matured ones.
So do you have eggs here?
We don't have eggs here now. Yes.
So do you feed them differently?
Yes, we feed them. We don't feed them much as the commercial one, the ones we will sell.
The ones that are supposed to
be sold, to be breed, you don't feed them much.
Why is that?
All this, all is about the fat.
Okay.
When they develop more fat, then you will not get more eggs from them. Some will even not produce at all. Let me show you in there. Their eggs are very smaller, tiny than the tilapia's eggs. Okay. So this is yesterday's one. Okay. What we did yesterday. So they will hatch within 24 hours to 48 hours. Okay. So now it's on the cacao now for it to hatch. So the water will help it to hatch. Okay. The dropping of the water will help it to hatch. So I need to hold it for you, raise it for you to see, but if I touch, I'll disturb my fries. Okay. So under it, you can see some black spots there. Most of them are already hatching. Okay. Most of them are already hatching.
Okay. So how do you move them?
From here?
Yes.
After hatching.
So how long do they stay here?
No, they will be here for 3 months. We'll be changing the water for them. Then after that, we'll bring them to the bigger one there.
Okay. So after 3 months, move them to the bigger one.
So what we'll be doing, we'll be changing the water here all the time.
Okay. So when you move them to the bigger one, how long do they stay there?
For the bigger one, that is where you'll be doing your selections. Some will be going faster than the other. So you'll be picking the bigger ones into a bucket and placing them in different tanks.
So explain the magic that is going on here. The gallon and then the electricity and everything.
Here we have a filter. Okay. We are using the same water from the lake. And as I told you, there are a lot of problems in the water which we will not see. So we decided to do some. These are very young ones. And if we don't take good care of them, we will lose them. So this is a filter with there's a gallon with pebbles. There's a little salt in it, charcoal, and the river sand. Okay. So we are trying to do what? Change the water, the quality of the. We are trying to make the water to be nice. Okay. So it passes through here, gets here, and then moves. There's a pumping machine there. That is a small blower there that will blow the water, pump it all over. So the water is circulating. We are using the same water, circulating, changing it. Yeah, so it's being filtered here and it goes around.
Interesting. Wow.
This one is our own technology. You see, sometimes as you talk about the temperature, the weather changes, this water becomes cooler. So we have something here, heater. So you can see here, we did our own, Yes. So it will be heated here when we need. That's in the night around 12 a.m. to dawn. That's what we do. We'll on it and then it will heat and then help them to be able to stay in.
We're currently at the laboratory of Cycle Farms. Just like human beings need their foods to be tested, fishes also need their foods to be tested. We are here with Beatrice Kwe, who will be taking us through the whole process of checking if the feed is good for the fish. So please take us through, Beatrice.
Okay, so thank you. So basically what you are doing here is checking the quality of our product to make sure that we are producing good and products that are of high quality. So what we do is that we check our raw materials to make sure that they are of high standard. So when it comes in, we check the quality before we offload and use them.
How do you check the quality?
How we check it? Most importantly is the mycotoxin test. So we check if the raw material doesn't contain toxins, because once they contain toxins, when you use it to produce, automatically you are going to produce products that are toxic, and then that wouldn't be good for our fishes. So we check the quality of the raw materials before we use them. After that, after production, we get a sample of the pellets. Then we do our various tests. We check the sizes, because we have different sizes, ranges from 0.15 mm to 8 mm. So based on the size of the pellets, we do our checks. We check the diameter and then we check the length to make sure that we are producing the size that we want. So after, it's a random check, so we wouldn't be able to get everything. That's why we do the sieving test as well. With the sieving test, we measure our quantity of the sample, then it's automated. So we sieve it for like 5 minutes. During the 5 minutes, if there's any size that is below what we want, it will drop. Because as you can see, it's graduated. So if it's a product like 4.5 mm, we use the 3.5, the 6 mm, then we have the catch fan. So whatever drops, it tells us that the size is not what we want. So
you do it at a time, like maybe if you want 4.5 ml, you put a group of feed in it, or you just mix everything.
So the 5.5 mm, that is the size we are looking for right now. So that is the size we are going to check for.
Okay, so anything that falls outside 5.5, we take it out.
We take it out, yes. So after that, we do the floating test as well. I'll do a demonstration for you to see. This is tilapia grower, 4.5 mm. So the product is supposed to float, not sink. Realize that it's floating. This is catfish, 4.5 as well.
So the point is majority of it should float.
Majority of it should float. But then we have a range, a specification. Okay. So with the 4.5, the grower, the minimum should be 90% to floating. And then with
this is 90%.
This is 90%.
And this is what percentage?
This, you can see that the product is sinking more than it's floating. So it is out of specification. So the moment I see this, I raise a non-conformity. That means the product is a no-go.
Okay, so what do you do with these kind of products?
These kind of products, we do reprocessing. That's like an advantage with our sector.
This is Cycle Farms located in Tema, where a Nampapa fish feed is being produced. I'll be speaking with production supervisor Michael Atipo, who will be taking us through the processes of fish feed making. Come with us. Michael, kindly take us through the processes involved there.
All right, thank you very much. So as you know, Cycle Farms, we are fish producing company. Basically, we produce fish for tilapia and catfish. Now there are several ingredients that we use in production, which is maize, wheat bran, blood meal, and fish meal, and the fish oil. Those are the ingredients that we use to produce the fish, and all those ingredients are found locally here in Ghana. So, as you can see behind me, this is where we call the recipe preparation. This is where everything takes place. So, this here is the weighing bin. The silos contain wheat bran, soya, maize, and the fish meal. And as you can see, this liquid over here is fish oil. So now, the recipe is also prepared by nutritionists who prepare the recipe for us, and the operator here calls by layer and layer. So now, for instance, we are producing tilapia 4.5 30%. The ingredients are soya, fish meal, fish oil, blood meal. So now this is the automated machine. The operator will then take the recipe book, then he will call the recipe layer by layer by layer by layer, and they are all in kg. So it goes here to the weighing bin. Now from the weighing bin, we have the hammer mill.
So that's called what?
The hammer mill. The hammer mill. Yeah, so this is the hammer mill. So after the operator calls all the recipe here, the way he needs to weigh them over here. So after he's done calling the recipe, now the hammer mill, on the hammer mill, and the screw conveyor. So the screw conveyor conveys all the raw material into the hammer mill, and the hammer mill crushes the raw material into powdery form.
I was about to ask why it's called the hammer mill.
Yeah, because it's crushed the raw material. So the hammer mill contains seed. That seed, the powder, because sometimes there might be foreign materials inside. But as you can see from the top there, we have magnets. So the magnet extract all the foreign materials over there, and the materials that we want go to the hammer mill. They extract it. Whilst it's flashing it, now this is the extractor. Now the extractor also extracts the powder form of the raw material into the mixing tank. Into the mixing tank. The yellow thing over the yellow tank over there is the mixing tank. It makes it well, then we transport it into the holding tank. Powder comes from the preconditioner, then into the extruder. Right from the extruder, at the end of the extruder is where the dye is.
In our part of the world, whenever we talk about aquaculture, all we think about is fish farming. Today, Jacob Ajika, CEO of the Chamber of Aquaculture, will be explaining to us the details of aquaculture. Mr. Ajika, welcome to Food.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Please enlighten us what aquaculture involves aside fish farming.
Well, aquaculture basically refers to farming of aquatic animals and plants, either in the ocean or inland water bodies such as rivers, lakes, ponds, reservoirs, etc. And in Ghana, the type of aquaculture we're doing at the moment is mainly inland. Here we're talking about farming tilapia, catfish, and until recently we're having shrimp farming as well coming up. So these are the three types of aquaculture systems that we have in Ghana at the moment.
Ghana currently produces about 5,000 tons.
52,000 metric tons, yeah.
And there's a projection that by 2023 we should be able to produce about 72,000 metric tons. Do you think this is realistic?
Yeah, it's realistic, and actually we can do more than that, because if you look at our environment, Ghana has one of the best ecosystems when it comes to aquaculture production. We have good water bodies supported by good feed mills in the country. We should be able to do that. We should do as much as 120 metric tons per annum. Yes, but the thing is, at the moment, because the industry is having certain setbacks, industry players are struggling to scale up the production. That's why you said we have a production report that indicates that last year we did up to 52 metric tons. What we should be doing is looking at these challenges that are impeding the growth of the aquaculture sector. You know, for example, we have issues like high cost of production. That is directly linked to the cost of producing fish feed in the country. At the moment, feed manufacturers or producers pay some, import tax on some of the imported raw materials. What we should be looking at is providing some sort of import tax waiver for those raw materials. If you're able to do that, what's going to happen is that the cost of production will come down, because these companies are now going to produce at a lesser cost. And if they're able to do that, the effect is that it will trickle down all the way to the farmer, because cost of feed will be less. It's going to encourage a lot of people to go into aquaculture production, and a lot of people are going into aquaculture production means that we are going to produce a lot. We are going to increase our level of production immediately. So the focus should be on getting the cost of feed down. then we can scale up the production. And if we scale up the production, we are going to create more jobs. Cost of tilapia or catfish will come down. You know, tilapia and catfish should be affordable to every Ghanaian. So that should be our target. And the other thing is we need to look at the fish health issues that's affecting aquaculture production. As you are aware, 2 years ago we had massive fish kill as a result of the ISKNV virus that affected almost every farm. That in a way led to collapse of many farms, especially smallholder farms. The commercial farms, of course, are also struggling to bounce back. So if we focus a lot on fish health management, if we invest into this sector, we're going to diagnose disease on time, we're going to prevent outbreak of diseases on farms, and if you're able to control that, it means we are not going to witness any massive mortality. That means farmers at the end of the production cycle will have their fish to sell, get more money, continue to scale up the production, create more jobs, and contribute to national food security. But where we are now, we're battling with those two issues: high cost of production and fish health issues. So we will encourage key stakeholders like the government to invest into, fish health infrastructure, more labs, train more vets who can provide their services to the aquaculture sector. You know, government should set up more regional labs across the aquaculture hubs. If you have this around, we can easily, the farmers can easily pick up their samples to these labs and do the analysis and know what is causing diseases or fish kill at their farms, and can start implementing certain interventions that will prevent massive fish kill. So now the onus is on key stakeholders, especially the government side, to start looking at some of these interventions so that at the end of the day, the industry can be more sustainable.
Okay, every industry or most of the industries in Ghana or worldwide were affected by COVID. How did your sector get affected by COVID?
Yeah, indeed. COVID had quite significant impact on the aquaculture sector. You know, when government announced restrictions or imposed restrictions on the hospitality industry, you know, restaurants were closed, hotels, etc. were all closed. The effect is that no events, no one is there to eat the fish. So what happened was most businesses had a lot of live fish stock in the water, the farmers, but they couldn't get them out because consumers who should be buying the fish were not going out, we're not having events, we're not having the parties, etc. So farmers had a lot of live fish stock in the water for a very long period until the government started easing the restrictions. Farmers really struggled because when you have live fish stock in the water, what you're going to do is you have to now keep on feeding them to maintain the weights. So you can just imagine, you're feeding but you're not selling. It's just additional costs.
So that's it for Food Chain. Today we learned the value chain of fish farming, aquaculture, everything related to fish farming, from the production of the feed to the sea or to the river, the lake, and then how feed is made. It's been an exciting journey. My name is Emma Davis. It's still the Food Chain.